All right, so in this video, we're going to do a few exercises that can help with shoulder discomfort, tendonitis. A lot of times that happens with impediment of the tendons, right? And the wearing down of the tendons. So when we do these exercises, it's really important that you meet your body where it's at. You're not forcing anything. So we're trying to keep, as best as we can, keep that awareness of what's happening in the body. Soft body, soft breath. If you notice your body tensing up, if you notice you're breathing heavily, see if we can soften that a little bit. See if we can slow it down. If you're, getting to a point where you're like, ow, 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 that really hurts, back down a little, right? We don't have to force anything here. So just taking your time with this. All right, so you may want to have a few props for this practice. You might want to have a chair, or a table. A countertop also might be nice for one of the exercises. We'll show you that. And also you might want to have a resistance band. I definitely recommend starting off lighter, and then little by little as you do this, you're working up. So, whatever type of resistance band that you have, start with maybe the lightest or the step up from the lightest, and then see how that goes for a few practices and then add that resistance. We might also want to have a little weight at one point. You could have start off with something that, just with the body weight itself, and then maybe adding like a yoga block, or maybe if you have like a 1 pound weight, 2 pound weight, right? So just really starting off small and then little by little building up. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so for this first exercise, we're gonna bring in our chair or our countertop, whatever we have, right? So the idea here is we are going to work to release any tension we might have built up here, just by letting sort of gravity do its thing and gentle movement from the body. So if you come in front of your chair here, so let's say you're experiencing discomfort in your left shoulder, so we're going to do this work in the left shoulder, right? So we'll bring one hand onto the back of the chair, countertop, whatever you have, and we're just kind of going to back up here and just let that left arm, that left shoulder relax down. Okay, so again, we're just letting gravity work in this muscle space in the joint here. So instead of moving your arm yourself, we're gonna let the body, so we're gonna move the lower body here, and we're gonna let that lower body do the movement. Okay, so first we're gonna make gentle circles. So again, just gently bending the knees here, and just letting the knees, that body movement, make circles, maybe kind of finding that rotation in the pelvis, right? So just kind of play around with it, see what works to get that rotation in the arm. But we are not moving the arm itself as best as we can. We're just gonna do that, and then we'll switch to the other side. So you might wanna do this for about 30 seconds. To start off with, maybe building up to a minute or so. But again, just kind of meeting yourself where you're at. All right, and then the next one would be taking the arm side to side. Again, using the lower body for that, not doing the arm itself. So we might just kind of swing our hips side to side and just kind of let the arm pendulate back and forth. Right, that's all this is. We're just letting the arm be that pendulum as the other bits move it side to side. Okay, so we do that again for about 30 seconds to a minute. So just take your time with this. And then the last one, we want the arm to kind of go back, front and backward, right? We're trying to recreate all this gentle movement in that shoulder space without forcing anything. So we're gonna bring our legs in like a lunge-like position. And we're just gonna lunge back and forth. Take your time with this. Again, no rush. And again, you might do this for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then whenever you finish that, right, coming back and just observing, seeing how that feels in the arm, maybe noticing if there's any differences before we started, after, maybe noticing if there's any differences in the two shoulders. Okay? All right, so you could do that as well with a weight. So if you have a block, maybe you start off with a light like yoga block, right? And so we do those same things. And the weight can be nice because it just adds a little extra gentle pull down. So we're gently releasing any of that tension that's built up there. But again, please, please, please meet yourself where you're at. If you know that putting weight on that isn't good, don't do it. Okay? If it starts hurting, back off. Maybe, trying with lightweight, doing that for a couple of repetitions or a day or so, right? A couple days. And if that feels fine after that, doing that a couple days, then maybe adding in a bigger weight. But just really meet yourself where you're at with this. All right, so the next exercise is really quite simple. So these next couple exercises actually are things that you could do, any of these, right? Like these last bits you could do at work, you could do at home, just to get that gentle movement release. But these next couple can be really nice to do, especially if you're sitting in front of a computer a lot, right? So just kind of taking a short break and lifting your shoulders up towards your ears and then letting them lower down. We might pause there for a second or so and then releasing down. What we're watching here is we're not like crunching in the neck, right? So we're moving the shoulder blades up and then gently pulling them down. And again, maybe we do this for about 10 repetitions or about 30 seconds. And then when you finish, just take a moment there to pause, observe. Again, just observing what's going on in the body here. Now this next bit, we're gonna move the shoulder blades. We're gonna move them out and then we're gonna squeeze them in. So we're working here by imagining if someone's putting like their hand right in their spine, right? And you're pulling your shoulder blades towards that hand. It's not about pulling the elbows towards it. It's about moving in the shoulder blades. So you might want to just gently have the arms resting here. You can do this seated, right? You don't have to do this standing. I'm just showing you standing. So we're pulling the shoulder blades towards, and then we're gently pushing the shoulder blades away from each other. And I'm just going to show you from the back. And you might want to just kind of gently hold maybe for a breath and then release it away. And now as we start working up that mobility, you might want to bring in maybe a full arm movement here. So you might want to open the arms out and then pull them back in. You can also bring in a resistance band. Doing a similar exercise, right? So we're keeping those elbows tucked in. Your hands are on this resistance band, just gently wrapping around, right? And we're pulling that resistance band out and then in, but we're doing that movement through the work of the shoulder blades. So just watching here that we're really focusing on bringing those shoulder blades together and then pushing them apart. Again, we're going to start with a resistance band that is light and little by little build it up. But first, and even just doing this on its own, right? It just feels so nice, just very relaxing, very releasing. So work with your body, take your time there. Okay, so for this next one, we're gonna focus on this movement up a wall. So you will first want to start facing the wall, right? And you're gonna bring, well, let's start with a couple of different options here. So first, you could just kind of face this wall, elbow gently tucked in, so you're not stuck to the wall. I mean, you can be, right? You're just a little bit further away. And we're just gonna start walking our fingertips up the wall. So take it up as high as it feels okay for you and your shoulder, and then walk them down. That might feel nice. The other option is bringing your forearm on the wall, and you're gently sliding the arm up and down. Now, if you notice as I'm doing this, my thumb is pointed out. And we're just taking it up and down. Maybe gently creating a little resistance at the top, holding for however feels nice, and then coming down. Then you could start to open it up slightly. So taking it about 45 degrees, and then doing that. Or maybe turning all the way to the side and going up and down. So taking your time, maybe doing 10 repetitions of the forward, this to the side, or that 45 degrees, and the 90 degrees. All right, so continuing with our wall practice, okay? If you have a corner, this is gonna be really helpful. So what we'll do is we're gonna bring our hands to either side. Again, just keep it lower so the elbows are tucked in here slightly at first. And then we're just gonna gently release in. So you're gonna notice, again, we're working with releasing in those shoulder blades. And you can hold for about 30 seconds or so. And then come out, and then maybe taking the hands a little higher and doing the same. And then maybe a little higher yet and do the same. You'll notice that as you take the arms higher, you are finding that stretch in different parts of the back and in the torso and the chest. So really listen to your body again and be really gentle here. We don't need a force. We're just gently using the gravity, our body to release into it. All right, so this next exercise is often used in physical therapy. It's called the Mulligan technique. And what we're doing is we're inviting the joint to come back into alignment and to kind of create that isometric press that we're activating the body, but we're also that helps strengthen, but then it also releases. So using a countertop can be a really good thing to do here. You could use a table as well. Or a chair, but I find that countertops tend to be best. This is also a practice that some people find really helpful, but other people don't find as helpful. So just kind of play around with it a little bit. We're working to keep the arm tucked into the body. Our hand is flat on the surface, and we're going to keep the arm straight as we walk the upper body back. And as we do so, we are pressing our hand into the surface. And so if, as you do this, as you kind of notice that it's the same motion as if I'm doing this with the arm. So we're actually finding that range, right? That you might not be able to find just on your own right now. But by creating the isometric press and that pressing down, we are inviting the body to find that space in the shoulder and that movement. So just play around with this a little bit. And again, take it to only as far as it feels comfortable, holding for about 30 seconds or so to a minute, and then coming out of it, releasing, and just observing, right? You can find a little gentle shoulder circle one way or the other way, and just kind of play and see. All right, so we're gonna play with our resistance band a little bit here. Again, I really recommend that you start with a light resistance and little by little build up. So we've already talked about one of the exercises, which is keeping the elbows tucked in, holding onto your resistance band, and you're gently pulling away, but we're doing most of that movement through pulling the shoulder blades together and then pushing them away from each other. So you might do this about 10 times. And again, please, it may be when you start off, it's just about doing that movement without the resistance, okay? And then little by little, you start building up. The next option here is to bring your resistance band under your foot. And what we're working on here is we're working on keeping our body nice and stabilized. So you could do this sitting as well. So just kind of play around with that. We want the feet probably about hip distance apart. A little gentle, I don't want to say bend in the knees, but make sure that the knees aren't locked, right? So that we just have this little gentle release in the knees. Our pelvis isn't jutting forward, it's not jutting back, right? It has just gently, nicely, gently tucked under, keeping that support up through the core of the body. Our upper body is staying nice and straight for all of these exercises, so we're not leaning forward, we're not leaning backward, right? We're wanting the arm, the shoulder to do the work, not our upper body. And so we're gonna hold on to our strap. Again, starting off with a light resistance. And we're gonna keep the arms tucked in. The thumb is gonna point up. This helps make sure that we have our shoulder nice and open. We're not creating any compression in that shoulder, right? If you notice the thumb up, you're gonna find a lot more range in the shoulder there. So thumb posture is important. All right, so thumb pointed forward, and we're just gonna bring that arm up to about 90 degrees. I think I took it a little higher there, but to about 90 degrees here, right? So the hand matches more or less to the shoulder. And we'll do that about 10 times. Make sure you're still breathing. Slow it down, right? It doesn't need to be like really high here. We're wanting to work on really getting those muscles to turn on. So actually slowing it down and not snapping the arm back, but taking the arms slowly up, taking the arms slowly down. We're actually working a lot harder here. And observe, right? Notice what's happening in your body. So again, we're gonna do it you'll do it about 10 times. You could do this maybe just 10 times through this full sequence, maybe do 2 repetitions of these exercises. So just see what feels right for you in your body. And the more, right, you might do it once a day, and then maybe twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, little by little building up. We're not just forcing everything all at once. And if you're noticing discomfort as you're coming up, only come up as high as your arm is wanting to play with in that moment. I'm saying 90 degrees as kind of the max height for this moment, okay? Now the next exercise, I'm just gonna shift here to the side. This next exercise, we're taking the arm backward. Again, that thumb is still gonna point forward, and we're just taking it back as far as the arm is wanting to allow. Maybe that's about 35 to 40 degrees. Maybe it's even less. Maybe it's really gentle. So really just kind of play with where you're at. Again, noticing, are you starting to lean forward and taking the arm back? We're just keeping it nice, straight upper body. Okay, so again, doing that about 10 times, more or less, okay? Okay, so for this next exercise, I have another resistance band because the one I was using just snapped. Great, so time to get new resistance bands. So we're gonna, again, take it under the foot here and find that central position, right? So your body feels nice and stabilized, gentle release in the knees. And we're gonna take the arm out to the side. Let's see if it works this time without snapping. So we're gonna turn so the thumb is pointing the direction that we want the arm to move. The palm is facing forward. And we are, oops, give myself more space here. We're taking that arm out and up. This resistance band is much heavier than the other one, so I'm actually gonna give a little bit more release in that. So yeah, we're taking it out to about shoulder height. So again, about 90 degrees. Maximum, okay? If you take it a little bit less, that's totally fine, right? So always meeting your body where it's at. And we'll do that for about 10 repetitions again. And again, maybe we do it 10 repetitions 2 times. Maybe we do it in the morning, in the evening, right? So just take your time with this, building up. We're not forcing anything. I would say start with those repetitions first, and then once that feels comfortable, maybe adding more resistance in your band. All right, so for this last exercise, we want something that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to find that release. We're gonna find a different rotation in our shoulder. And you may want to have a towel, you may want to have a strap. I'm using my cardigan because that's just what was on handy, really easy right now. But something that doesn't have a lot of give in it, because we don't want that stretch. We want it to just kind of move the arm. So what we'll do is we're going to take the strap, towel, whatever you have, over the unaffected shoulder, and we're going to reach back with that affected shoulder's hand. And so coming back to only as far, right? Like keep it low. We're gonna hold here, so we're just holding on to both of them, and we're using the unaffected arm to take the other arm up. So again, we're not doing that movement with the affected shoulder, right? We're just gently taking it up with the other hand. This movement, might be really subtle. So really listening to your body, right? I might have a wider range of movement than you do. You might have a wider range than movement than I do, but you know, especially if you're working with that tendonitis, then you might have that a lesser range, and that's fine. And the more and more that you do it, the better, hopefully, the better that it gets. And we would hold that posture for a few seconds to start off with, and then release, then hold for a few seconds, and then release, and then maybe hold for, you know, about 30 seconds, and then release. So again, taking your time, building things up. Maybe eventually we'll get up to holding it for about a minute or so, and then relax it. At the end, after you do your exercises, maybe you do all of these, maybe you just do a couple of them, just kind of take a moment to tune in, maybe kind of move your shoulders in circles, move the arms around, and just sort of see, do you notice any differences? Do you notice any changes? Even when you're just sat there without movement, can you feel the changes in the arm, in the shoulder? And yeah, keep track of it, right? Observe, be aware, and I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know.